Hey guys, it's me, Gabriel, coming to you with that evening spark. So, the C.A.R.E principle. Thought of this one myself, hot off the press. No, thanks, I will say, thanks to the book Winning with People by John C. Maxwell. I think it definitely, I gained a lot of inspiration from that, but I digress. So, the C.A.R.E principle, it's an acronym, I think that's the right word. So it stands for, before I get into that, you know, one thing, you may have heard the expression that people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And I think that really is profound. So then perhaps a logical question from that may follow then, how does one care? It sounds simple enough, like, okay, you can show it in a myriad of ways, but I think the question still remains, well, what does it mean to care, Because though there is many different ways to care for people, I think there's there can be a foundation for which to apply that dynamic of caring unto people. So this is kind of a rule of thumb to follow. It's not like if you don't do these things in its entirety, and it's not even in order. It's just a helpful way to remember if you do these things. So let's crack into it. So care. So it's C.A.R.E. and to care for someone, you have to have compassion unto them. You have to accept them. You have to respect them, and you have to embrace them. You can write that down. Compassion, have compassion. Just compassion, acceptance, respect, and embrace. Now, some of these you may actually do physically. Like you may actually embrace someone in a hug, but I'll get to that later. So, first with compassion. And I was thinking like, okay, well, what does it mean to have compassion on someone? Because it's easy enough to have compassion on people you like. The real test of our compassion is on people who do not think highly of us, who think less of us. And I think that's the real test of one's compassion. So having compassion revolves a lot around taking the high road, treating others better than they would treat you, to be able to see the good in them, to see the best in them, even when they themselves don't. And where I think sometimes it gets difficult is when it's like, how can I have compassion on this person who's a jerk? And in taking the high road, you do unto others better than they do unto you. So if they treat you poorly, if they come at you with anger, you meet them with gentleness. If they would hate you, you forgive them. And where it stems from is recognizing that you're not necessarily trying to be compassionate towards this wicked person per se, but it's more about you being compassionate towards the fact that you recognize that those things about them aren't their reality, nor are they yours. I think us coming, and touches on acceptance, we might as well just kind of segue right into acceptance, is that, there's nothing greater you can do in your relationship with people than to accept them. I talked to a lady, she was married for over 30 years. One of the secrets she said, as it were, to her success for that long was that you have to accept someone as they are in their entirety and not without the expectation that they will change. You have to be willing to be okay with that. There is a chance that they very well may change because that's just life, but you have to be willing to say, I am okay with who this person is. The good, the bad, and the ugly. And that goes with everyone. Our relationships aren't always just romantic. And so the manner in which you can accept someone, it's so profound, because the manner in which you accept others is the manner in which you accept yourself. And so you can look at that, am I adding, I think a reoccurring thing with all this is, how am I adding value to my brother, to this person? Because if you're hating on them, one thing I've come back on is, regardless of however I may feel about this person, by me hating on them, am I adding value to them? How am I adding value? It very much, that becomes the ultimate litmus test in so many ways for me to discern the waters of my choices and decisions of like how I'm regarding someone. I'm like, okay, do I want to keep going down this train of thought, being jealous, hateful, whatever it may be, because it doesn't lead to that state of caring that we need to be able to have for people. And so that manner in which you can accept people, I mean, it's so amazing, because I think, here's the thing, when it comes to accepting people, one thing that helps is by us recognizing our humanness. Man, I could have a whole video on this, but your humanness, and what I've come to realize what humanness is, your frailty, it's kind of that frailty, our failures, our limitations, our shortcomings, our weaknesses, these things that just seem to make us who we are. And when you can recognize that there are things for which you need patience, like people need patience for you, yet you need grace for, you need people to be willing to cut you some slack. And by that measure of you being able to pretty much give yourself a break, you'll by that dynamic of how you truly are, in turn you will then give that unto others. And that's why you can tell someone, that you can really know the fruit of someone's labors, as it were, the fruit of their words, by the measure for which how they treat someone. Because they can say that they love their brother all and this, all, and the third, but if they hate them, the manner in which they treat and regard others is the manner, though, is how they treat themselves. And that's why there's a lot of hurting people. And I realize that for myself, that I've been one of those hurting people. I'm not going to get into the whole dynamic of all that, but we've all had our struggles. We all think our struggles are the worst. And we always look at things in the light of our own intentions. But always then we are so quick to look at what people do by their actions. Oh, they're a horrible person. Most people are trying to just do right in the best way that they know. And when you can accept someone, you can see, when you regard them, when you look at them, how you feel that they could be, and this relates to compassion, you see the best out of them. You try to see the best, and it usually will bring the best out of them. Because then, and so by that, they still are going to have a lot to deal with. But I can guarantee you seeing the best in them is going to be a whole lot better than you seeing the worst in them. Do you think it's going to result in value added to their life and yours if you see the worst in them? If you even just see them, what's more, if you just see them as they are. But rather, aspire to be able to see them in the manner for which you feel that they could be their best. Now, that's also something you got to be able to accept them as they are. Again, because sometimes we get flustered, like, man, I know you could be better than this, and they're not acting that way, and then you get all flustered. You got to go back again to just as they are. And there's something so liberating when you can just say, and you just take it all in, and you're accepting them because as they are, because you realize those evil thoughts, whatever they may be, that state of wickedness, what have you, they do not come from the Son, of which we are a part of, and they do not come from the Creator, His Creator, our Creator. They do not truly come from that, so they are not the true reality. And you can take that for what it is. And then from that sense of respect, that state, and moving on to respect, you can have that state of respect unto someone. When you have that respect, and you are able to respect them before they've even done anything, you can and that relates to seeing the best in them, because you respect, you respect who they are. And sometimes, like for instance, like in my job being in the military, you respect the rank. You may not like the person, but you're supposed to respect their status, as it were, that rank that's above you. And that's and you may not be in the military, but you may have a job where someone is higher up. You see the bigger picture, I think, is more about it, and you rise above the turmoil, above the battlefield, if I would use such a word as that. And when you do that, when you see beyond that, and you hold them, you see them, you respect them before they've done anything to supposedly earn it. You treat them differently. I mean, think of someone you respect, and then treat that person in that regard. If you need some kind of mentality to try to trick the brain, because sometimes we need to do that, but recognize that okay, you look at them as if they're this amazing person. It's not to say that you are pretty much sweeping the bad under the rug. It's not that you're just being complacent and abiding by their wickedness, and you're just wanting to ignore the problem. But it's kind of you're marking the perfect man, as it's stated in Psalms. And there's that certain kind of respect that you're respecting the spiritual man within them and recognizing and proclaiming within your heart that, whatever that may be, that might seem to say otherwise, it might be at variance, the ways of the flesh, of that sense of selfishness, conceitedness, what have you. You recognize that is not their true self. That is not their true man. And so you don't have to get hot and bothered if that's not the image they're commanding, because remember, it goes back to that sense of humanness. We're all still working on stuff. We're all still trying to just be the best that we can, given what we know. So you don't got to get all upset. That sense of respect can help you from not letting yourself focus on the situation and recognizing the importance of the relationship. Why do you love that person to begin with? Don't let the situation just throw everything away that's been worked for a year or two, whatever. Never let the situation be more than the relationship. And I think that deals with respect, because when you can respect the person, have that mutual respect, it creates a safe space for growth within the relationship. And so then moving finally on to embrace. There's this certain kind of embrace that, imagine like with the prodigal son, man, when he comes back after having gone amok, the father embraces his son. He runs towards him. I think embrace is that kind of dynamic, that kind of that energy, that sensationalism, as it were, if you would, where you've got such a joy to want to embrace them. And maybe it is physically, like literally you're hugging them, but you could also think of it in the figurative, that wanderer who's gone too far in the cold wilderness, that can finally be embraced with those tender tears of mercy, with this brother that they've long forgotten, and they've long forgotten that home that they've never left. There's something about that embrace that you can have, a certain sort of selflessness of investing into them without thinking of anything in return. There's something about it. And again, it goes back to thinking of others before yourself. And what I mean by that is, it's not that you just forget about your needs, but you recognize that you look at the relationship more in terms of you look at it less in terms of what can I get from this person, and more in terms of how can I add value to you? What can I do for you? How can I help and love you? And it's this joy of being able to know that you can make a difference in each person's life. It may be in a micro transaction, as it were, a micro engagement where you just share a smile, a wishing them well, blessing them, whatever may be, not projecting guilt upon them, not adding more to their hurt. That kind of embrace that just pretty much ties the essence of caring all together in this beautiful harmonic convergence of love that really, I think, can make such a difference in ways that we can't even fathom, in affecting people who we don't even know. You watching this video could have an impact on you, and I don't even know you. And that's the beautiful thing about YouTube, is that this sense of care can get, cast away into the far reaches of the world. These wings of liberty, of truth and freedom that can be flown into the skies to be able to share and to have people know this kind of care. And so this is what I would say caring is about. This is what it means to care for people. And you can do this. This requires no sense of intellectual capacity. You don't have to be smart. You don't have to be strong. You don't have to be any of this. Really, it's just about being who you are and elevating yourself. But that's all I got time for. Remember, care is compassion, acceptance, respect, and embrace. You do these things, and I think it'll put you well ahead in life for yourself and for others as well. They surely will not fail to see the benefit. But anyways, have a blessed day. Care for people. Share this. And just, this is the Wolfpack. signing out, and I surely hope you have a blessed day. Peace, friends.